The White House celebrating tonight as the Supreme Court upholds the administration's right to enforce Travel Ban 3.0 while the legal challenges in the lower courts play out. The ACLU and others say they will continue to fight to stop the travel ban involving 8 nations, 6 of them majority Muslim. On the other side, the administration's also under pressure from critics who say it is not doing enough and that additional steps need to be taken to prevent terrorists from getting into this country. Christopher Farrell joins us now, Director of Investigations for Judicial Watch. Great to see you tonight.
Hey, Shannon.
Thanks for coming in. Okay, so I want to read you a couple of reactions to this decision by the Supreme Court today. CARE, a lot of our viewers are going to be familiar with them. Their National Litigation Director says this decision ignores the very real human consequences to American citizens and their families abroad imposed by President Trump's Muslim ban 3.0. Their words calling it a Muslim ban. The ACLU has to say this to say, President Trump's anti-Muslim prejudice is no secret. He has repeatedly confirmed it, including just last week on Twitter. It's unfortunate that the full ban can move forward for now. Your reaction?
Well, the black letter law gives the president virtually unlimited power with respect to who enters the country. It's just that simple. And that was the question before the Supreme Court. And so, the court decided correctly. They didn't invent anything. They didn't manufacture some new standard. They read what the law said. They see what the president did. And he has that authority. So it's remarkably cut and dry. And I'm very pleased that the court did not go far beyond their bounds or start inventing new tests that aren't there.
Well, how come so many other courts decided that this was unconstitutional and couldn't be enforced?
Well, because there's an agenda there, right? There's a political ideologues who, want to advance their particular position. And, you can find a judge, you can forum shop, you can figure out a way to get something in front of somebody who's going to make a decision in your favor. But ultimately, it's up to the Supreme Court to decide that.
So we know Justices Ginsburg and Sotomayor said they would not have taken this action. And now we have to wait for the case to actually get there on the merits because these 2 lower courts that we'll hear it this week could be decided before the end of the term in June. The White House said they weren't surprised by this decision and they anticipate they will win at the Supreme Court.
And I tend to agree with them. I mean, it has to be ripe. It has to get to the point where the Supreme Court will review it. But I think you come back to the same fundamental question. Does the president have the authority to decide who comes in and out of the country? And the answer is yes.
Okay. Now, I wanted to ask you also about this bill that's being offered up by Representative Rokita. And it essentially is going to have penalties for local and state lawmakers who allow their localities and municipalities to become sanctuary states. It would actually include jail time for them, up to 5 years in prison, fines of up to $1 million if they obstruct federal immigration authority efforts. Do you think it goes anywhere?
No, it will not go anywhere. I get where he's coming from. I get the sort of the sentiment or the intention, the frustration, because it's really a byproduct of the horrible decision that was made, I think, with respect to the Steinle murder. Yeah. But it's really sort of like a legislative acting out, right? It can't survive as a law. There already are sufficient laws on the books right now to hold public officials accountable.
Does that happen, though? Does anyone ever get prosecuted or put away for refusing to comply with the feds? Because what opponents of this whole idea will say is, you can't force states and localities to do the feds' job. You can't force them to cooperate when they make a request for holding somebody, detaining somebody. You can't do it.
Well, we just had a victory in San Francisco in that regard. Civilly, we've pressed to say that localities, municipalities can't prohibit officers from communicating with each other. For example, right now in a place like Phoenix or San Francisco, local police officers can speak with every other law enforcement agency you could imagine, the whole alphabet soup of initials, except ICE, right?
Yeah, and for a lot of people, that just does not pass the common sense test.
It doesn't. But
we know that a federal court recently has struck down the administration's attempt to cut off funding for sanctuary cities. I'm sure that will have a lengthy and winding road through the appellate process as well.
Yeah.
All right, Christopher Farrell, always good to see you.
Thank you very much, Jenna.